Have you ever felt like your whole world was turning upside down? Like everything you thought you knew was suddenly different? If you have, you might be going through a spiritual awakening. It's a big deal, and today we're diving into the 5 phases of spiritual awakening that you absolutely need to know about. Trust me, this stuff is life-changing. Now, you might be wondering, which phase am I in? Don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have a pretty good idea. And let me tell you, knowing where you are in this journey can make all the difference. It's like having a map when you're on a wild adventure. It doesn't make the journey easier, but it sure helps you understand what's going on. Let's get real for a second. Spiritual awakening isn't just some fancy term or a passing fad. It's a deep, powerful shift that can rock your world in ways you never imagined. Knowing about these phases is like having insider information on your own life. It's not just interesting, it's seriously helpful. Think about it. Have you ever felt lost, confused, or like you're going crazy? Maybe you're experiencing things that don't make sense, or you're seeing the world in a totally new way. That's where understanding these phases comes in handy. It's like someone handing you a guidebook to your own weird and wonderful journey. But here's the kicker. Everyone's path is different. Your spiritual awakening might look nothing like your best friend's or that Instagram guru you follow. And that's totally okay. The point is to recognize the general stages so you can navigate your unique journey with a bit more ease and a lot less panic. All right, let's dive into the first phase. We're calling this one the wake-up call. It's exactly what it sounds like. The moment when you start to realize that there's more to life than what you've been seeing. Picture this. You're going about your day, same old routine, when suddenly something feels off. It's like you've been watching a movie your whole life, and someone just flicked on the lights in the theater. Everything looks different, feels different. You might start questioning things you never questioned before. Is this all there is to life? Why am I here? What's the point of it all? This phase can feel exciting, but it can also be pretty unsettling. It's like standing on the edge of a diving board. There's a thrill, but also a bit of fear about what's coming next. You might find yourself drawn to new ideas, books, or people that you never cared about before. Suddenly, that spiritual stuff you're weird and always talked about doesn't seem so weird anymore. Here's the thing. This phase can be triggered by all sorts of things. Maybe it's a big life event, like losing a job or going through a breakup. Or it could be something as simple as a random thought that pops into your head and won't leave you alone. For some people, it's a gradual thing, like a slow awakening. For others, it's like being hit by a spiritual truck. Bam! You're awake. Now, don't freak out if you're feeling overwhelmed. This is totally normal. Your old way of seeing the world is starting to crack, and that can feel pretty scary. But remember, it's also the beginning of something amazing. It's like the first day of a grand adventure. You don't know where it's going to lead, but you know it's going to be one heck of a ride. During this phase, you might notice some weird stuff happening. Maybe you're more sensitive to people's energy, or you're having vivid dreams. You might find yourself drawn to nature, or suddenly interested in meditation or yoga. Don't worry if none of this is happening to you. Remember, everyone's journey is different. The key is that you're starting to see the world with new eyes. One of the biggest challenges in this phase is dealing with the people around you. You're changing, but they might not be. This can lead to some awkward moments or even conflicts. Your bestie might think you've lost your marbles when you start talking about energy and consciousness. That's okay. Part of this journey is learning to trust yourself, even when others don't get it. Here's a tip for navigating this phase. Keep a journal. Seriously, it's like a map of your inner world. Write down your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Not only will it help you process what's happening, but it'll be super interesting to look back on later. Plus, it's a great way to track your progress and see how far you've come. Now, let's talk about some signs that you might be in this phase. Are you suddenly questioning everything? Do you feel like you're waking up from a long sleep? Are you hungry for knowledge about spirituality, consciousness, or the meaning of life? If you're nodding your head, chances are you're smack in the middle of phase 1. But here's the cool thing. This is just the beginning. The wake-up call is like the first chapter of an epic book. It's setting the stage for all the amazing stuff that's about to happen. So if you're feeling a mix of excitement and terror, Congratulations. You're right where you're supposed to be. Remember, there's no rush. Some people spend months or even years in this phase, and that's perfectly fine. It's not a race, and there's no prize for getting through it quickly. The important thing is to stay open, stay curious, and trust the process. Your soul knows where it's going, even if your mind is totally confused. As you move through this phase, you might start to notice changes in your daily life. Maybe you're losing interest in things that used to be super important to you, or you might find yourself drawn to new hobbies or interests. This is all part of the process. You're shedding your old skin and growing into a new version of yourself. One thing to watch out for in this phase is the temptation to go all in, all at once. It's like when you discover a new TV show and want to binge watch the entire series in one weekend. Slow down, tiger. This journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Take your time, digest what you're learning, and don't try to force anything. Another common experience in this phase is a sense of loneliness. You're changing, and that can sometimes make you feel isolated from the people around you. This is totally normal. Remember, you're not alone in this journey, even if it feels that way sometimes. There are tons of people out there going through the same thing. You might even start attracting new friends who are on a similar path. As you navigate this phase, be gentle with yourself. It's okay to feel confused, scared, or overwhelmed. It's okay to have days where you feel on top of the world and days where you want to hide under the covers. This is all part of the process. Treat yourself with kindness and patience, just like you would a good friend. One of the most exciting parts of this phase is the sense of possibility that opens up. It's like you've been living in a tiny room your whole life, and suddenly someone showed you the door to a vast, beautiful world outside. There's so much to explore, so much to learn. Embrace that sense of wonder and curiosity. Now, you might be wondering, how long does this phase last? The truth is, there's no set timeline. For some people, it might be a few weeks. For others, it could be months or even years. The important thing is not to rush it. Each phase has its own lessons and gifts, and trying to speed through them is like trying to speed read a really good book. You'll miss all the good stuff. As you move through this phase, you might start to notice synchronicities. Those weird coincidences that seem a little too perfect to be just chance. Maybe you keep seeing the same number everywhere, or you randomly bump into someone who has exactly the information you need. Pay attention to these little winks from the universe. They're like signposts on your journey. One of the challenges of this phase is balancing your new awakening with your everyday life. You might feel like you're living in two worlds, the normal world of work, bills, and Netflix binges, and this new spiritual world you're discovering. Finding a way to integrate these can be tricky, but it's an important part of the journey. Remember, this awakening isn't about escaping your life. It's about living it more fully. So don't feel like you need to quit your job, move to a mountaintop, and become a monk, unless that's really calling to you, of course. The real magic happens when you can bring your newfound awareness into your everyday life. As you navigate this phase, you might find yourself drawn to spiritual teachers, books, or practices. This is great. Soak up all that knowledge. But here's a word of caution. Don't take everything as gospel truth. Use your own discernment. If something doesn't feel right to you, it's okay to leave it behind. Trust your own inner wisdom. One of the most beautiful aspects of this phase is the growing sense of connection you might feel. Connection to yourself, to others, to nature, to the universe. You might start to see how everything is interconnected in ways you never noticed before. This can be a profoundly moving experience. Now, let's talk about some practical tips for navigating this phase. First, take care of your physical body. With all this spiritual stuff happening, it's easy to forget about the basics. But eating well, getting enough sleep, and moving your body are super important. Your body is going through changes too, and it needs your support. Second, find ways to ground yourself. With all this new energy and awareness, you might feel a bit spacey or ungrounded at times. Spending time in nature, working with crystals, or doing some gentle yoga can help you stay connected to the earth. Third, be patient with the people in your life who might not understand what you're going through. Remember, they can't see the changes happening inside you. Try to explain if you can, but also accept that not everyone will get it, and that's okay. As you move through this phase, you might experience a roller coaster of emotions. One day you're on top of the world, feeling connected to everything. The next day you might feel lost, confused, or doubtful. This emotional ups and downs are totally normal. It's like your inner world is being shaken up, and things need time to settle. One thing that can be really helpful during this phase is finding a community of like-minded people. This could be an online forum, a local meditation group, or even just one or two friends who are interested in similar things. Having people you can talk to about your experiences can make a huge difference. Remember, this wake-up call phase is just the beginning. It's like you're standing at the start of a beautiful, winding path. You can't see where it leads yet, but you know it's going somewhere amazing. Trust that inner pull, that whisper that's guiding you forward. As we wrap up our exploration of Phase 1, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Does any of this resonate with you? Are you seeing signs of awakening in your own life? Remember, there's no right or wrong way to experience this. Your journey is uniquely yours. The most important thing to remember as you navigate this phase is to stay open. Open to new ideas, new experiences, new ways of seeing the world. It's like you're a flower just starting to bloom. Give yourself the time and space to open up fully. And hey, if you're feeling a mix of excitement and terror right now, congratulations. You're embarking on the most incredible journey of your life. It might not always be easy, but I promise you, it's worth it. The universe has so much in store for you. So, are you ready to dive deeper? Because Phase 2 is where things really start to get interesting. Buckle up, folks, because we're diving into Phase 2 of the spiritual awakening journey. We're calling this one the emotional roller coaster, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride. If Phase 1 was like waking up from a long sleep, Phase 2 is like realizing you've woken up on a roller coaster that's already in motion. In this phase, your emotions might feel like they're all over the place. One minute you're on top of the world, feeling connected to everything and everyone. The next minute, you might feel like you're falling into a pit of despair. It's intense, it's confusing, and it's totally normal. Here's what's happening. All those old emotions, beliefs, and patterns that you've been carrying around for years, or maybe even lifetimes, are coming to the surface. It's like your soul is doing a deep clean, and it's bringing up all the dust and cobwebs hidden in the corners. Yeah, it's not always pretty, but it's necessary. You might find yourself crying for no apparent reason, or feeling angry about things that happened years ago. You could be laughing one minute and feeling anxious the next. It's like your emotional dial got turned up to 11 and someone else is controlling the knob. This phase can be really challenging. You might feel like you're going crazy or like you're backsliding on your spiritual journey. But here's the thing. You're not crazy and you're not going backwards. This emotional upheaval is actually a sign of progress. It's like when you're cleaning out your closet, things often look messy before they get organized. During this phase, you might also start experiencing more intense physical sensations. You could feel energy moving through your body, get random aches and pains, or have changes in your sleep patterns. Some people experience ringing in their ears, changes in appetite, or sudden food sensitivities. Your body is adjusting to the new energies, and sometimes it can feel pretty weird. One of the toughest parts of this phase is dealing with relationships. As you're changing, you might find that some of your relationships start to feel different. You might outgrow certain friendships or start to see family dynamics in a new light. This can be painful, but it's also an opportunity for growth and for forming new, more aligned connections. Here's a tip for navigating this emotional roller coaster. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself like you would a good friend going through a tough time. Be gentle with yourself. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. In fact, allowing yourself to fully feel and process these emotions is a crucial part of the journey. Another helpful practice during this phase is grounding. With all these intense emotions and energies swirling around, you might feel a bit untethered. Spend time in nature, walk barefoot on the grass, hug a tree. Seriously, it helps. Anything that helps you feel connected to the earth can be really stabilizing during this time. Remember, this phase won't last forever. It might feel like it's going on forever when you're in the middle of it, but I promise you, it will pass. And when it does, you'll find yourself lighter, clearer, and more in tune with your true self. As we move into phase 3, things start to get a bit clearer. We're calling this phase the fog lifts, and it's like the sun coming out after a long, stormy night. After the intensity of the emotional roller coaster in phase 2, this phase feels like a breath of fresh air. In this phase, you start to gain some clarity about your experiences. All those intense emotions and weird sensations start to make a bit more sense. It's like you're starting to see the bigger picture of your journey. One of the key features of this phase is a growing sense of inner peace. Don't get me wrong, you'll still have ups and downs, but overall, you'll probably feel more centered and grounded than you did in the previous phases. It's like you've weathered a storm and come out stronger on the other side. During this phase, you might start to notice some pretty cool changes in your perception. Colors might seem brighter, music might sound more beautiful, and you might find yourself appreciating the little things in life more than ever before. It's like your senses have been fine-tuned, allowing you to experience the world in high definition. You might also start to develop or enhance your intuitive abilities during this phase. Maybe you start getting strong gut feelings about things, or you find yourself knowing things without knowing how you know them. This can be a bit freaky at first, but as you learn to trust these intuitive hits, they can become a valuable guide on your journey. One of the most exciting aspects of this phase is the sense of purpose that starts to emerge. You might begin to get clarity about your life's path or your soul's mission. This doesn't mean you'll suddenly know exactly what you want to do with your life, although some people do have that experience. But you'll likely start to feel a pull towards certain activities, ideas, or ways of being that feel deeply right for you. During this phase, you might also start to see synchronicities everywhere. Those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be chance? Yeah, they might start popping up all over the place. It's like the universe is winking at you, showing you that you're on the right track. Now, this phase isn't all sunshine and rainbows. As the fog lifts and you start to see things more clearly, you might also become more aware of the pain and suffering in the world. This can be really tough to deal with. You might feel a strong urge to help or to make changes in the world, but also feel overwhelmed by the enormity of the task. Here's a tip for dealing with this. Start small. You don't have to save the whole world overnight. Small acts of kindness, tiny changes in your daily life, can ripple out and have a bigger impact than you might think. Remember, by working on yourself and raising your own vibration, you're already making a positive impact on the world. Another challenge in this phase can be integrating your new awareness with your everyday life. You might feel like you're living in two worlds, the normal world of work, bills, and Netflix, and this new spiritual world you're discovering. Finding a balance can be tricky, but it's an important part of the journey. One thing that can be really helpful during this phase is developing a regular spiritual practice. This could be meditation, yoga, journaling, spending time in nature. Whatever helps you feel connected to your inner self and the larger universe. Having a consistent practice can help you stay grounded and centered as you continue to navigate your awakening journey. As you move through this phase, you might find that your values and priorities start to shift. Things that used to seem super important might not matter as much anymore, while other aspects of life take on new significance. This is totally normal. It's like you're realigning with your true self, and naturally, some things are going to shift in the process. Remember, even though things are getting clearer in this phase, you're still on a journey. There will still be challenges, still be moments of doubt or confusion. But overall, you'll probably feel like you're on more solid ground. You're starting to get your spiritual sea legs, so to speak. One of the beautiful things about this phase is the deepening sense of connection you might feel. Connection to yourself, to others, to nature, to the universe as a whole. You might start to really understand, on a deep level, that we're all interconnected. This can be a profoundly moving and transformative realization. As we wrap up our exploration of Phase 3, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Are you experiencing any of these signs of clarity and integration? Remember, everyone's path is unique. You might resonate with some aspects of this phase and not others, and that's totally okay. The key in this phase is to stay open and curious. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep growing, and most importantly, be patient with yourself. This journey of awakening is a lifelong process. Enjoy the clarity when it comes, and trust that you'll keep moving forward, even when things feel unclear. So, are you ready to see what comes next? Because phase 4 is where things start to get really interesting. Alright, spiritual seekers, it's time to dive into phase 4 of our awakening journey. We're calling this one the inner alchemy, and let me tell you, this is where the real magic starts to happen. If the previous phases were about waking up and clearing out the old stuff, this phase is all about transformation. In this phase, you start to actively participate in your own evolution. It's like you've been given the keys to your own spiritual laboratory, and now you get to experiment and create. This is where you start to consciously shape your reality. One of the key features of this phase is a deepening understanding of the power of your thoughts and beliefs. You start to really get, on a visceral level, that your inner world creates your outer reality. This isn't just a nice idea anymore. It becomes a lived experience. During this phase, you might find yourself naturally letting go of old habits, beliefs, and patterns that no longer serve you. It's like you're shedding an old skin, making room for the new you that's emerging. This process can feel liberating, but it can also be a bit scary. After all, even if they don't serve us, those old patterns can feel comfortable and familiar. You might also start to experience more frequent moments of bliss or deep peace during this phase. These might come during meditation, or they might hit you randomly while you're doing the dishes or walking down the street. It's like getting little tastes of enlightenment, brief moments where you feel completely at one with everything. One of the coolest aspects of this phase is the development of your manifesting abilities. You might find that things you think about or desire start showing up in your life more quickly and easily. It's not magic. Well, maybe it is a little bit, but rather a result of your growing alignment with your true self and the universe. Now, this increased manifesting power comes with increased responsibility. You might find that your thoughts and words have a bigger impact than before, for better or worse. This is where practices like mindfulness and positive thinking become super important. You're learning to be a conscious creator of your reality. During this phase, you might also start to experience more profound insights and aha moments. It's like the wisdom of the universe is downloading directly into your brain. You might suddenly understand complex spiritual concepts that used to baffle you, or you might receive clear guidance about your life path. One of the challenges in this phase can be the temptation to get caught up in spiritual ego. As you start to experience all these cool phenomena and insights, it's easy to start feeling special or superior. Remember, this journey is about connecting with all of life, not separating yourself from it. Stay humble, stay open, and remember that everyone is on their own perfect path. Another potential pitfall in this phase is spiritual bypassing, using spiritual ideas or practices to avoid dealing with uncomfortable emotions or life situations. Remember, true spirituality isn't about escaping reality. It's about fully embracing all aspects of life, including the challenging parts. Here's a tip for navigating this phase. Keep a balance between your inner work and your outer life. It's easy to get so caught up in your spiritual practices and experiences that you neglect your everyday responsibilities. The real mastery comes in bringing your spiritual awareness into all aspects of your life. As you move through this phase, you might find that your intuitive abilities continue to strengthen. You might start receiving clearer guidance, or you might develop abilities like clairvoyance, clear seeing, clairaudience, clear hearing, or claircognizance, clear knowing. These abilities can be exciting, but they can also be overwhelming at times. Remember to stay grounded and to use these gifts responsibly. One of the most beautiful aspects of this phase is the deepening sense of purpose you might experience. You start to really understand why you're here and what you're meant to do in this lifetime. This doesn't necessarily mean you'll suddenly know your exact career path or life plan, but you'll likely feel a stronger sense of direction and meaning in your life. During this phase, you might also start to attract more like-minded people into your life. As you vibrate at a higher frequency, you naturally draw in others who are on a similar path. This can lead to beautiful new friendships and connections. At the same time, You might find some old relationships naturally falling away. Trust this process. It's all part of aligning with your highest self. Remember, even though you're experiencing all these amazing changes and abilities, you're still human. You'll still have bad days, still make mistakes, still face challenges. The difference is that now you have more tools to navigate these challenges and a deeper understanding of their purpose in your growth. As we wrap up our exploration of Phase 4, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Are you experiencing any of these alchemical changes? Remember, everyone's path is unique. You might resonate with some aspects of this phase and not others, and that's totally okay. The key in this phase is to stay curious and keep exploring. You're like a scientist in your own spiritual laboratory. Keep experimenting, keep observing, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. This phase can be incredibly exciting and rewarding. So, are you ready to see what the final phase holds? Because Phase 5 is where everything comes together in the most beautiful way. Welcome to the final stage of our spiritual awakening journey, Phase 5, which we're calling the Grand Synthesis. This is where all the pieces start to come together in a beautiful, harmonious whole. If the earlier phases were about waking up and transforming, this phase is about integrating and embodying all that you've learned and become. In this phase, you start to experience a profound sense of oneness with all of life. The boundaries between you and everything else begin to blur. You might have moments where you feel completely merged with the universe, experiencing a deep, unshakable peace and connection. One of the key features of this phase is a sense of flow and ease in your life. You're no longer fighting against the current, but moving with it. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect or that challenges disappear. But you approach these challenges with a new level of grace and acceptance, understanding their role in your ongoing growth and evolution. During this phase, you might find that your intuition and inner guidance have become rock solid. You trust yourself implicitly, making decisions with confidence even when they don't make logical sense. It's like you're tapped into a higher wisdom that guides your every step. You might also notice that your presence has a positive impact on others. Without even trying, you might find that you uplift and inspire the people around you. Your energy becomes a healing force, bringing light wherever you go. This isn't about being perfect or saintly. It's simply the natural radiance of your authentic, awakened self. One of the most beautiful aspects of this phase is the deep sense of purpose and meaning you experience. You understand why you're here and what you're meant to contribute to the world. This purpose isn't usually about achieving some grand, external goal. Instead, it's about fully being yourself and allowing your unique gifts to flow into the world. In this phase, you might find that synchronicities and miracles become a regular part of your life. The right people and opportunities show up at just the right time. You're in such alignment with the flow of life that things seem to magically fall into place. Now, this doesn't mean life becomes all rainbows and unicorns. You'll still face challenges and difficulties. The difference is in how you perceive and respond to these challenges. You see them as opportunities for growth and evolution rather than obstacles or problems. One of the hallmarks of this phase is unconditional love and acceptance for yourself, for others, and for life itself. You've made peace with your shadows and integrated all aspects of yourself. This inner harmony radiates outward, allowing you to meet others with compassion and understanding, even when they're showing their not-so-pretty sides. During this phase, you might also experience a dissolution of many of the fears and anxieties that used to plague you. Fear of death, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. These start to lose their grip as you recognize the eternal, indestructible nature of your true self. Here's a tip for navigating this phase. Stay humble and keep learning. Even though you've reached this advanced stage of awakening, there's always more to discover, always room for growth. The journey never really ends. It just keeps unfolding in more and more beautiful ways. As you move through this phase, you might find that your relationships transform. You attract people who resonate with your energy, and your connections become deeper and more authentic. At the same time, you're able to maintain healthy boundaries, understanding that everyone is on their own perfect path. One of the challenges in this phase can be maintaining your connection to everyday life. With all this expanded awareness and blissful states, it can be tempting to want to retreat from the world. Remember, true mastery is about bringing your awakened consciousness into all aspects of life, including the mundane and challenging parts. In this phase, you might also find that your perception of time shifts. You're more present in the moment, less caught up in regrets about the past or worries about the future. You understand that the present moment is all there really is, and you learn to fully inhabit each moment as it comes. Remember, reaching this phase doesn't mean you're done, or that you've reached some final destination. Spiritual awakening is an ongoing journey, and there's always more to explore, more to learn, more to become. Even in this advanced phase, stay open, stay curious, and keep growing. As we wrap up our exploration of Phase 5, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Do you recognize any aspects of this phase in your own experience? Remember, these phases aren't rigid or linear. You might experience elements of different phases at different times, and that's perfectly okay. The key in this phase is to embody your awakening in every aspect of your life. It's about bringing your expanded consciousness into your relationships, your work, your daily activities. It's about being the change you wish to see in the world. Wow, what a journey we've been on. We've explored the 5 phases of spiritual awakening, from the initial wake-up call all the way through to the grand synthesis. Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned. Phase 1. The wake-up call. This is where you start to question your reality and feel that there's more to life than what you've been experiencing. Phase 2. The emotional roller coaster. Here, you go through intense ups and downs as old emotions and patterns come to the surface to be healed. Phase 3. The fog lifts. In this phase, you start to gain clarity and a sense of inner peace. Your intuition develops, and you begin to see your purpose more clearly. Phase 4. The inner alchemy. This is where you start to consciously participate in your own evolution, developing your manifesting abilities and experiencing profound insights. Phase 5. The grand synthesis. In this final phase, you experience a deep sense of oneness with all of life. You embody your awakening in all aspects of your life. Now, you might be wondering, which phase am I in? The truth is, spiritual awakening isn't always a linear process. You might find yourself experiencing elements of different phases at different times. That's totally normal and okay. Here are some questions to help you reflect on where you might be in your journey. Are you questioning your reality and feeling like there's more to life than what you've been experiencing? Are you going through intense emotional ups and downs? Do you feel like you're gaining clarity about your life and purpose? Are you actively working on your spiritual growth and noticing changes in your manifesting abilities? Do you experience moments of profound oneness with all of life? Your answers to these questions might give you some insight into which phase or phases you're currently experiencing. But remember, there's no rush to get to the end. Each phase has its own gifts and lessons. Wherever you are in your journey is exactly where you need to be right now. As we come to the end of our exploration of the 5 phases of spiritual awakening, I want to leave you with a few important reminders. First, your journey is unique. While these phases can serve as a helpful roadmap, your experience might not fit neatly into these categories, and that's okay. Trust your own path. Second, spiritual awakening is not a destination, but an ongoing journey. Even if you reach Phase 5, there's always more to learn, more to experience, more ways to grow. Stay open and curious. Third, be patient and kind with yourself. This journey can be challenging at times. Remember to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Fourth, while this journey is deeply personal, you're not alone. There are countless others going through similar experiences. Don't be afraid to reach out for support when you need it. Finally, remember that the ultimate goal of spiritual awakening is not to escape life, but to fully embrace it. It's about bringing your expanded awareness into every moment, every interaction, every aspect of your life. Wherever you are in your journey, know that you're exactly where you need to be. Trust the process, trust yourself, and keep moving forward. The universe has incredible things in store for you. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the 5 phases of spiritual awakening. May your journey be filled with love, light, and endless discovery. Remember, you are a beautiful, powerful spiritual being having a human experience. Embrace your journey in all its messy, magical glory. And hey, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who might be on their own awakening journey. Let's spread the light together. Until next time, keep shining your beautiful light. The world needs it now more than ever. Peace out, spiritual warriors.